On September 20, 2017, a 12-year-old girl from Oklahoma City did what seemed impossible. Armed with a cast of puppet friends and a voice way too powerful for her small frame, Darci Lynne Farmer won the biggest talent show in the world. She was the little girl who won America's heart with a puppet and a song. It was a perfect, storybook ending, watched by millions who thought they were seeing a modern-day fairy tale come to life, but while the world saw a fairy tale, a devastating struggle was just getting started behind the curtain. The victory that looked like a dream come true was actually hiding a dark and crushing reality. The bright lights of fame cast long, menacing shadows, and the pressure to keep up that perfect image began to take a toll nobody could see. Behind the smiles and sold-out shows was a battle with crippling anxiety, deep exhaustion, and a terrifying feeling of losing herself that threatened to end her career before it even really began. So, what really happened to the incredible Darci Lynne after the cameras stopped rolling? The real story is far more complex, and in many ways, more heartbreaking than you might imagine. Before Darci Lynne Farmer was a name everyone knew, she was a quiet, shy girl from Oklahoma. Born on October 12, 2004, to Clark and Misty Farmer, she grew up in a loving home with her 3 brothers. Darci always loved to sing, but she was held captive by a painful shyness. The thought of performing for an audience, with all eyes on her, was terrifying. Her parents, looking for a way to help their daughter break out of her shell, encouraged her to join the International Cinderella Scholarship Program in 2014. It was at that pageant that a chance meeting changed her life forever. She met a young ventriloquist named Larissa Bonaquisti, and watching Larissa perform, something just clicked for Darci. It was a total revelation. Ventriloquism wasn't just some quirky talent, it was a shield. It was a way for her to sing and perform without being the direct center of attention. She could pour her heart out through a character, a puppet who could be brave and bold in ways she felt she couldn't. She begged her parents for a puppet, and for her 10th birthday, they got her one. That was the start of everything. She taught herself, practicing non-stop in front of a mirror, perfecting the craft that felt like her salvation. This new passion quickly turned into an obsession. The same girl who was once too shy to speak up in class was now having full-blown conversations with her puppets. Just 2 weeks after she started, she entered a local talent contest and, to her own surprise, she won. That small win was the spark she needed. She started working with coaches, like ventriloquist Gary Owen, who helped her sharpen her skills. She was a natural, not just at the technical side of ventriloquism, but at creating characters with real heart and humor. In 2016, she got her first taste of the national spotlight on NBC's Little Big Shots, where she performed with her yodeling cowgirl puppet, Katie. The performance was a huge hit, showing off her amazing ability to mix comedy, character, and incredible vocal control. It was a charming introduction, but nothing could prepare anyone for what was next. In the spring of 2017, at just 12 years old, Darci walked onto the stage for the 12th season of America's Got Talent. She was small, softly spoken, and you could see the nerves on her face. In her hands, she held Petunia, a sassy bunny puppet in a pink dress. The judges seemed charmed, but maybe a bit skeptical. Then, she started to sing. With her lips barely moving, she launched into a powerful, soulful version of Gershwin's Summertime. The crowd was stunned silent, and then burst into thunderous applause. The judges were speechless. How could this huge, mature, flawless voice be coming from this tiny girl, through a puppet? Darci later admitted how terrified she was in that moment, saying, "I was so nervous I thought I could throw up." But she didn't do anything wrong. Judge Melby was so blown away that she slammed her hand on the golden buzzer, sending Darci straight to the live shows. It was a moment of pure triumph. Her mom, Misty, remembered her husband saying after the episode aired, "You realize when that episode airs our lives will never be the same. The world is going to know our little girl." He had no idea how right he was. The shy girl from Oklahoma was on a rocket ship to stardom, and the world was watching, completely captivated by the fairy tale. That golden buzzer wasn't just a pass to the next round, it was the start of a cultural phenomenon. The video of her audition went viral, racking up tens of millions of views almost overnight. Darci Lynne was suddenly the front-runner, the one to beat. With every performance, she upped her game, introducing new characters and showing off her incredible versatility. In the semi-finals, she brought out Edna Dornacher, a sassy, elderly puppet with a hilarious crush on Simon Cowell. Through Edna, Darci belted out a stunning performance of Aretha Franklin's "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," which left Simon blushing and the audience on its feet. For the grand finale, she pulled off an amazing performance of "With a Little Help from My Friends," switching flawlessly between two puppets, the shy mouse Oscar and the diva bunny Petunia. The technical skill was mind-blowing, the characters were adorable, and the vocals were, as always, perfect. Simon Cowell looked her in the eye and said, "I think you're going to win." During the results show, she even shared the stage with her idol, Terry Fator, the ventriloquist who won Season 2 and became a Las Vegas legend. And then, the final announcement came. Darci Lynne Farmer was the winner of America's Got Talent. She had received one of the highest vote counts for a final performance in the show's history. She won $1 million and her own headline show in Las Vegas. The fairy tale had reached its spectacular peak, but that wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. Darci Lynne's life changed in an instant. She became one of the most sought-after young performers in the country. Her show at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas sold out instantly. In early 2018, she launched her first national tour, Darci Lynne and Friends Live. What started as a small, 5-city tour blew up into a 52-date tour as tickets disappeared at every stop. That first major tour sold over 100,000 tickets and brought in an incredible $5.20 million. The world couldn't get enough of her. She was a guest on every big talk show, from The Ellen DeGeneres Show to Today. She performed at the Grand Ole Opry and even starred in her own NBC holiday special, Darci Lynne, My Hometown Christmas, which featured stars like Kristen Chenoweth and Toby Keith. She launched another tour in 2019 and continued to sell out venues. At just 13 and 14, Darci Lynne wasn't just a performer. She was the face of a growing entertainment brand. Kids were dressing up as her for Halloween and bringing puppets to her shows. On the outside, it looked like a flawless, triumphant rise. The shy girl was gone, replaced by a confident, world-famous young artist at the top of her game, but behind the smiles, the charming interviews, and the wild applause, a very different story was unfolding. What nobody saw was the crushing weight of this new reality. The whirlwind of success was pulling a young girl further and further away from a normal life. The fairy tale was starting to show its dark side, and the price was becoming terrifyingly high. The schedule was brutal and unforgiving. She was juggling a 50-stop national tour with the demands of middle school. Her days were a blur of airports, hotels, sound checks, interviews, and shows. Nights were spent on a tour bus, speeding toward the next city, the next sold-out crowd that expected perfection every single time. Her mother, Misty, later talked about how the touring just kept going, year after year, far beyond what they ever expected. The exhaustion was more than just physical, it was soul-crushing. While her friends back home were having sleepovers and going to school dances, Darci was working. She was missing out on the basic experiences of being a kid. She spoke about the deep tiredness from the constant travel and the ache of missing her friends and the stability of home. This wasn't just a job, it had completely taken over her childhood. The mental pressure was even worse. In a candid interview years later, Darci opened up about her internal battle. "My life pretty much changed overnight, which was crazy, and so with that does come a lot of pressure," she explained. "I've struggled a lot these last 5 years with kind of the weight that, all these people know my name, their kids watch me, now I feel like I have to be perfect." This feeling, this imposter syndrome, started to grow. She was a child dealing with adult-level expectations. Every time she stepped on stage, she wasn't just performing, she was trying to live up to the impossible idea of Darci Lynne, the AGT winner. Fame also brought a new kind of social alienation. She talked about how hard it was to navigate friendships with her peers. The big thing that I think has been a struggle is I've had lots of people or like kids my age just treat me differently, she shared. Whether that's like treat me a good differently or treat me a bad differently or just want to be friends with me just because I was on the show. It created a deep sense of isolation. How could she make real friends when she could never be sure of their intentions? She was surrounded by thousands of fans, yet she felt more alone than ever. The turning point wasn't one single moment, but a slow realization that the dream was becoming a trap. The little girl who used ventriloquism to escape her shyness was now trapped by the success it brought her. The joy of performing was being buried under the huge burden of expectation. The contrast between the bubbly girl on stage and the exhausted, anxious teenager behind the scenes was growing sharper every day. The immense pressure that had been building quietly finally started to crack the perfect image. The struggle was no longer just about being tired, it had turned into a full-blown mental health battle, with crippling anxiety and panic attacks that threatened to ruin everything she'd worked for. The same shyness she had used ventriloquism to overcome came roaring back, but this time it was amplified by the high-stakes world she lived in. It started showing up in the most terrifying way for a performer: panic attacks. She began to experience overwhelming episodes of fear right before she was supposed to walk out in front of thousands of fans. This anxiety peaked when she returned to the show that made her a star. In 2019, she competed in America's Got Talent. The Champions, a spin-off that put past winners against each other. The expectations were sky-high. All of the butterflies from the very first audition just came back like 10 times worse, she admitted. In the preliminary round, she performed a medley with her puppet Oscar. She was voted into the top 3 of her night but didn't get enough votes to go straight to the finals. For Darci, who had only ever known victory on that stage, it was devastating. Leaving the competition, the chance of winning that title was gone, she recalled. It felt like a public failure, feeding into her fears that she wasn't good enough. Though she was brought back as a wild card for the finals, the experience took its toll. The pressure to come back and deliver a mind-blowing performance was, in her words, terrifying. She managed to pull off a stunning performance of the Italian opera O mio babbino caro with Petunia, which wowed the judges. Simon Cowell even called it her best ever performance. Despite that, she ultimately finished as a finalist, while magician Shin Lim took the title. While an incredible achievement, for a young girl already struggling with perfectionism, anything less than first place could feel like a huge letdown. Her family, who had been her rock from the start, saw the warning signs. They knew something had to change. Her parents made the crucial choice to step in, to slow down the relentless pace and put their daughter's well-being first. They started building more breaks into her schedule, making sure she had time to be home, to be a teenager, and to just breathe. This was a quiet struggle, mostly hidden from the public. Fans saw the tours and the TV specials, but they didn't see the panic attacks in the dressing room or the exhaustion. They didn't understand that the art form that had been her shield was starting to feel like a prison of expectation. She was Darci Lynne, the singing ventriloquist, and she was starting to wonder if that was all she could ever be. The tragedy wasn't a public fall from grace, but a private, near collapse of her sense of self. It was the heartbreaking fight of a child trying to survive fame and just hold on to the girl she was before the world knew her name. That crisis point, that scary brush with total burnout, didn't break Darci Lynne. Instead, it became the spark for a brave and fascinating reinvention. The aftermath of her struggle wasn't about retreating from the spotlight, but about deliberately and thoughtfully finding the authentic artist she wanted to be. A key part of this change was facing the very thing that made her famous: ventriloquism. She loved her puppets, but she refused to be defined by them forever. She had a strong desire to be heard as herself, not just as a voice for her characters, and that became the driving force of her next chapter. That desire was on full display when she returned to the AGT stage in 2024 for America's Got Talent, Fantasy League. Now 19, she came back with a clear mission. "I was a very shy little girl when I came to AGT for the first time," she said. "But that's definitely not who I am now. I'm not 12 anymore." For the semi-finals, she made an even bolder move. She walked on stage completely alone. No Petunia, no Oscar, no Edna. It was just Darci and a guitar. She performed "Push Our Luck," an original country rock song she had written herself. It was raw, vulnerable, and deeply personal. She knew it was a risk. "This is just something I feel like I have to do, in my heart," she told her mentor, Heidi Klum. Simon Cowell praised her bravery for going against the judges' earlier advice. While she didn't move on to the finals, the performance was a powerful statement of independence. This shift to music has been the focus of her reinvention. Throughout 2024, she's been releasing original songs like "Push Our Luck," "Someone Wake Me Up," and "Takes a Melody," exploring a blend of pop and country. She explained her new path by saying, "Music has always been my first love. This is a lane change, but fulfilling careers are rarely straight lines, especially when they begin so young." At the same time, she's also moved into acting. In 2022, she made her film debut in A Cowgirl's Song. She played a character struggling to regain her confidence, a role that echoed her own journey. She even co-wrote and performed a song for the movie called "Just Breathe," a title that feels deeply connected to her own story. Today, Darci Lynne is a multi-talented artist in full control of her own story. She's still touring, but on her own terms, with her Up Close and Personal tour scheduled for dates in 2025. She connects with millions of followers on social media, sharing her life and creative process, carefully balancing her public and private self. The tragedy of Darci Lynne wasn't a permanent fall, but a painful and necessary fire. It forged a resilience that has allowed her to emerge not as a child star, but as the woman and artist she is choosing to become, proving that the most powerful act is being truly and authentically yourself. The story of Darci Lynne Farmer is more than just a biography, it's a powerful, modern lesson about what childhood fame looks like today. Her journey is both a warning and an inspiring story of resilience. It makes us look past the confetti and confront the unseen consequences of putting the world's expectations on a child's shoulders. Darci's experience is a case study in pressure, the pressure to be perfect, to always be on, and to live up to a multi-million-dollar brand before you're even out of middle school. Her battle with anxiety and the loss of a normal childhood isn't a unique story. It echoes the struggles of many child stars before her. It shows a brutal conflict in the entertainment industry. It profits from the innocence of youth but offers little protection for the actual person at the center of it all. But Darci's story is different from the more tragic ones we've seen. Where some child stars fall apart, she found a way to reinvent herself. Her decision to reclaim her own identity, to step out from behind the puppets and become a singer-songwriter and actor, is a powerful act of self-preservation. It's a refusal to be frozen in time as the 12-year-old girl who won AGT. Her journey shows that real success isn't just about winning, it's about surviving what comes after and having the strength to define yourself on your own terms. She also breathed new life into an entire art form. Ventriloquism, which many saw as an old-fashioned novelty act, was brought back into the mainstream with fresh energy. She has been credited with making it a female-driven force and inspiring a new generation of performers. Ultimately, the heartbreaking tragedy of Darci Lynne isn't about a failed career. The tragedy is what she almost lost: her childhood, her mental health, and her sense of self. The triumph is that she fought to get it all back. She faced the insane pressures of modern fame and came out stronger and more self-aware. Her story is a vital reminder that behind every viral video and sold-out tour is a human being on an extraordinary and often dangerous journey. Darci Lynne's greatest performance wasn't winning America's Got Talent, it's the ongoing, courageous performance of becoming herself. Darci Lynne's journey from a shy girl to a confident, evolving artist is a powerful story of resilience. She handled the immense pressures of fame at a young age and is now forging her own path in music and acting. What do you think of Darci Lynne's transformation and her decision to step out as a solo artist? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories about the real lives of your favorite stars, make sure to subscribe.